Hello, more match review. This is one I was talking about before. You'll see when we get into it. It's my armor and airborne on Baltiste. Let me unpause. Get straight into it. I'm having that thing again. I'm thinking in the last videos I talked about how I I record these matches and I'm going around the commentating them in time, and then by the time I get around to commentating them, I've had another leap forward in how I play the game, and it's like, oh my god, this gameplay's outdated again. So I got to keep recording them as soon as I do them. Anyway, this isn't too far back now, right? It's like a week back or something. But oh boy, I'm playing striker decks now. But we're not going to talk about that right now. Anyway, it's on stream today. I've been playing a lot of striker the last 2 days and liking it, which is good. I've been liking striker for a while, but that's not right now. That's the future. Right now, we were about a week ago, and we're playing Baltiste, Armored and Airborne. This was back when I was still getting lots of Baltiste matches. It's funny, because now nobody picks Baltiste anymore, the last few days I've been playing, so it comes and goes, I guess. Maybe everyone got sick of Baltiste in the same way I was like, I like Baltiste a lot, but I was like, you know what, I played enough, because I felt like every time Baltiste or Oil Rush came up, someone would vote for it. And now I haven't played those two maps in ages. I don't know, it's all been like Sawalki, I've been getting Iguana power plants and stuff like that. Yes, Iguana power plant's what it's called. Anyway, here we are. So it is a non-mirror match. It's US versus Russia. They've got a little bit of guards armored. Bit of smattering everything, really. They got some Moto. No mech. No mech on their team. Just Moto, quite a bit of coastal. So expect a lot of cruise missiles, I guess, in hindsight. And some BDV as well. So good air power, good helos. Bit of guards armored. And yeah, Moto, GRU. Moto's a popular thing for Russia. For my team, I think we had like someone who was like Airborne SOF, but most of us had some grunt in our decks, I think. I'm starting with my air cover for Baltiste Island H-Point. I know I've said it enough at this point. If you've never seen me talk about a Baltiste match before, H and G are half the map. You have to play water in this map. If you don't want to play water, don't come to Baltiste. You can't just ignore those flags just because there's water in the way. That said, don't put your entire force on H if you can afford to, but if you can help it, but don't ignore H either. Anyway, so I always try to, these days, I actually try not to go for H myself, but instead I try to just cover someone else dropping H. You really need to win the jet fight over there. And I'm just rolling out some, looks like I rolled out some defensive troops to go and hold the F zone. And I'm setting up my early Patriot here, my Pack 2, to help, stop the air attacks, essentially, or stop the enemy's air attacks jets. So I've got some Kiowas with Stingers rolling out on the H side as well to help whoever's going to drop there get their shit in. Usually I just drop like a little bit of supplies for my starting Patriot, but in this case, Baltiste is so small that ground spawn is basically a fine spot to leave your AA for a while, so I'm putting a full supply dump on that Patriot so we can just sit there for a bit. We've got one Raptor on my team. And then we've got an SU-57, a Felon, on the other side. That thing's going to outrange me if it's got the long-range missiles, which it probably does, so I'm kind of reflexively staying out of the way of the Eagle, but that said, the Raptor is dueling it, so I need to get in there with the Raptor and help, which I finally do here. The Eagle is not as expensive as the Raptors, not as potent. For these reasons, when there's Raptors in play, I try to get up there and, support the Raptors. Oh, God. And that is a hell of an opener. That is a B2 nuke. Going in right at the start there. Trying to nuke their spawn. Unsupported. No seed. No other jets. The team's calling it out. Oh man, bro. You got everyone in the squad laughing. However, there is good things happening of our winning of the air attacks here. The ace come at the start. You can see Racernas is deploying a bunch of SOF onto G to contest the harbor, which is cool. I like to see that dynamism. Not a lot of air power from the enemy. Big ground rollout instead. Ground spawns are very close on Baltiste. It's a very squashed map. It is the Metro, Operation Metro 24/7 of Broken Arrow maps, I think. But they didn't contest H at all either, so with troops landing on the H Island, I'm happy to now send my Kiowas home. Their job is done of making sure we get those guys in. No enemy helicopters or jets take us out. Transports have landed. Now I'll leave it to the ground troops that have been airdropped there. I'm going to deploy my infantry. My cheaper screen infantry here. I've got an AA, mech AA Stinger. I've got a tow team and I've got a sniper. Just gonna hold F, make sure somebody does. And I've still got my Eagle loitering here because I want to make sure I'm there in case something does threaten the H drop late. So the Eagle can just take out that drone while it's hanging around. A couple of STT teams on the right on H. That's probably going to hold decently unless it gets actually pushed. It'll repel any average crap. But let's look at the map in general. Right now we have problems because our middle is pretty open. The enemy's opened up with quite a lot of vehicles, quite a lot of transports, mech and moto. Not literally the Russian mech spec, but like quite a few tracked vehicles. I think there was mixed in as well with all of that moto. If you look at the enemy spawn right now, we have an SOF player being cheeky. They've got some Chinooks, sorry, Comanches in there. Sorts of C. That are being annoying and... Actually, that was a Comanche and a Longbow, I think. Either way, or Guardian. Either way, harassing enemy ground spawn with some helicopters. Off from the bay side, essentially, from the sea side. Unfortunately, that SOF drop on on the harbor is falling over instantly. It's not really going to hold. They haven't got enough. They kind of brought AA with SCTs. They brought anti-tank with MORS. But I don't think they had enough anti-man. And that 10 stack of... I think that's VDV dish there. I think that's just going to clear them out, unfortunately. I put in Iron Thunders early, which is quite a choice for me here. I guess I wanted to support the G drop and like start sniping some of these targets I can see sitting up here. But, you know, I'll try not to be too critical in the past tense of compared to how I play now, but just these last 2 or 3 days on stream, I've really fallen into liking, like, putting way more pressure out. So opening the 2 Iron Thunders here, I don't really do that as much anymore in the last 3 or 4 days. But here I was going for, like, that early, you know, Iron Thunders, snipe some good targets thing. I'm bringing in a weapon squad in the Airborne stack here, which I'm trying to use as defensive infantry. You can see me trying to, like, clip the cargo into the building a bit better there, so no drone sees it. Probably not really necessary there. I'm just getting some, like, defensive weapon squad, airborne squad here to try and stop a breakthrough in middle. And I've got, like, a Bradley CFV, a Recon Brad on the left side with some snipers, which I think, if I know me, I'm going to try and go take that middle hill. That defines a lot of, let me just move my mic a little bit. Defines a lot of the fighting on Baltiste. That center hill, you really want to have your own recon there. My guys are falling back to get more ammo who were defensively screening there. They're going to get caught off guard here as Orange is pushing all the way through. This is the problem with playing... What I'm doing here is really handing initiative over to the enemy immediately. By setting up, like, screening defensive infantry on those back skyscrapers... And then only having, like, a light force of screening infantry right here on the F-zone, on my side of the harbor. I'm really welcoming the enemy to do exactly what they're doing here, which is just kind of try to push in, probe in. Eventually getting here in 4, say there's your engineers. They're going to come try to flashbang me, and I won't be able to stop them. And we're just handing the front lines over to the enemy. We're basically just giving the enemy the map and a marker pen. And we're asking the enemy, okay, where would you like your front line to be? Why don't you let us know and we'll just set up our defenses behind wherever you pick. Not what you want to be doing, of course. I'm trying to get my infantry to fire on the engineer there so they don't push me, because if the engineer gets inside my building, they're going to flashbang me and then I auto-lose all of my infantry. Funnily enough, those guys are just kind of chilling there, though. I don't know why they're not sprinting at me and getting in my building. But my guys also are not going to really be able to hold for much longer. Real downside of having rolled out of, like, you know, this like, starting 440 points of artillery, basically, Iron Thunder. And just not enough ground troops. And the enemy here, instead, is being quite aggressive. With their push, I mean, this is what happens when you're relying on artillery as an opener. I said I wouldn't be so critical, but it's... You know, I can't make that promise, because... Hey, you know, I feel like I've got some more understanding of the game every fucking day I play this game. And instead, you know, I can just tell you, I think looking at this in hindsight, it's a good example of the downsides of not being willing to put out pressure the minute you enter the match. Whoa, look out, Spetsnaz, are you there? CQB, Recon Infantry, they're going to fuck those snipers up. Snipers need to run. Get back to the CFE. CFE needs to get out of there, actually, because those guys are going to have AT. If those GRU chase, I'm going to lose the Bradley too, so I need to get out of there with the Brad, which I think I'm doing. I'm reversing. And yeah, Orange very successfully, very correctly and successfully, but very correctly identifying that there's really nothing on F. Just drive your fucking vehicles there. You know, like the enemy's just handing us the map. I've got no excuse. You know, this is I guess I was just really enjoying Iron Thunders at this point in my life. I was all about them. I was like, Iron Thunders are so good. Artillery is so important. And it is, but like, just not opening up enough ground shit here. I don't know what almost hit me there, like a crashing airplane or something. Jeez. But anyway, yeah, I'm trying to clip the supplies in again. I've been doing this as much lately. I just haven't had as much time for it. My lone screening infantry squad here. Getting gratted. That's alright. We just get out of the building and sprint away from it. Bless the new sprint buff. But, you know, largely I'm just poking and probing around. And I've really, yet to make a mark in this match at all, I think. Now, by the way, you can see over on the right side, we did spot an amphibious assault force driving over to H through the water, those amphibious BMPs. I like that. What I don't like is that they left from that spit of land over there, which is weird. And they've just stopped there now. I guess they're trying to avoid the helicopters, but... You know, they hold G, but fuck, they hold F. They could have just driven all the way through G and F of that amphibious force, and then just made a much shorter swim and been on H by now and taken that point too. And they could be, you know, halfway on their way to sudden deathness at that point. But that amphibious push from them is like the first thing I've seen from them so far in this match that, you know, probably isn't the best move from them. It's a waste of time, waste of points. Which we need, because right now the enemy strongly has the initiative. Now, bless whatever deity you pray to, or blessings from them. In my case, thank you Athena, because at least in hindsight I can see what I have done here is I've decided to mix it up. I've brought in 2 big tanks, SEP V3 trophies. Honestly, even having them this close together makes me anxious just looking at it. I'm like, oh god, one cluster bomber if they have a sniper watching you. But still, the spirit is good here. We're getting aggressive instead, rather than continuing to play this quite slack pressure game of, you know, having very little on the ground. I've taken a whole bunch of money. I've taken about, you know, 800 there. And brought in 2 very big tanks. And we're going to try to use those to reclaim that side. Because I saw all those shitty little mech transports. I guess in this case they're coastal. But basically all these little pieces of Soviet tin shitbox is, you know, it's just basically how I keep track of them is... I don't really play Russia. They all look very similar to me at this point, even though I kind of have looked through the arsenal and know what they all do. It's just, you know, tin-armored pieces of garbage that I want to bully with a heavy vehicle that can't get hurt by them. So that's why I've called in these tanks here, to just go in close range and just clear house. You know how, like, everybody loves to... I was going to say jerk off, but that's foul. You know everybody loves to, like... I was going to say wank, but I'm Australian. What am I trying to say here? Everybody loves to, like... go crazy about, like, oh, Delta Force, CQB, breaching buildings, stuff like that. That's basically what I want to do here with my tanks, except rather than breaching a building, I want to breach an entire battle sector with these 2 tanks and just go, rather than going room to room, go just like, fucking parking lot to parking lot here. I just kill everything with these 2 tanks. Now we'll see if I can get away with it though, because there is a VDV dish in there and they do have RPGs, which, while not a very big AT threat here, can hurt me. What are these, spread SDs? I think those can hurt me too, definitely. Those things hurt. More than I would have thought. Because we're at close range. At long range, those spruts would only tickle me. I'm pretty sure those are spruts. Because they don't actually have that good pen, I think. But at this range, they will hurt, as you can see when it cleaned through the front plate of that Abrams there. What are you doing, Cat? Somebody's scratching something. This is a nasty situation. Yeah, they are spruts for my SEP here. Look at this. I got a sprut on me. I got VDV Dush ambushing me from the rear. Now, luckily, we're able to take out the sprut SDM on one side, but we immediately need to reverse our armor to face the VDV Dush. Because the VDV Dush gets me in the butt there, the trophy dies. If I face him from the front, I'm going to win. So we're just able to kind of like John Wick that situation. Do a little bit of gun kado of the tank. I don't know. Do you know what I'm talking about? Can you see it in my mind? The trophy has to like drive forward out of the ambush. Make space from the VDV behind it, kill the sprut, reverse. I don't know, I'm talking crazy shit tonight, I'm sorry. it's like boxing, you gotta make space. It's kind of like that with tank micro sometimes, I think. You gotta use that speed, and you gotta make space. When you get surrounded on all sides in an ambush, you can't sit in the middle of an ambush because that's where you die. You need to pick a direction and fight your way out of the ambush. In that case, we get to fight our way through the sprut. Then once that flank is secure, we're no longer being enveloped, and now we can turn around and kill the other side of the ambush on us there. It's a nice ambush, though, to be clear. Like, that almost got me. That sprut plus the VDV from both sides there, I drove right into that. Calling for laser here so I can get my ITs going. And even though my trophy is low on health here, I feel confident to push forward and mop up the last of oranges, you know, push into the side. I do not want to let the enemy sneak and hide a whole bunch of bullshit all throughout our, basically our backline here, our right flank here for the rest of the match, because I just know it's going to be so annoying if we let these guys go to ground and start like a guerrilla resistance movement. We're going to be dealing with it for the entire game. I do not want that. So I wanted to strike while the iron is hot here, get over here, make sure that we hunt down every last one of those orange units. Or do a good effort of it. But now, that being said, the first phase has 2 minutes and 10 left in it. And I want to get over here, and I want to take back the F zone. I think before I had my Bradley CFV, like, attack moving between those buildings, or moving between those buildings checking for snipers. It clearly died at some point while I wasn't paying attention. That's going to happen. That's a very highly contested area to leave a Bradley driving around unsupervised. At least my snipers are still alive. You can see my team doing a good effort, doing the usual A-B, Balti struggle over on the side. And God bless them, because they're distracting the enemy's pressure over there. And while I still am not taking up a large amount of pressure from the enemy, I am starting with these tanks to say, hey, to orange, I'm starting to say, you cannot do this. You cannot just have this part of the map for free anymore. Look, I rolled out that way. I invited you to do that. That's my bad. But look, I'm here now. You can no longer just, like, do this. You have an opponent now. You can't just be here anymore. It's funny how much a single unit can kind of turn that tide, or a couple in the case of these tanks. But this tank's got to watch out now. I need to smoke, because those are Gvardi Motostrelki. I don't end up smoking, because I'm supported by so much infantry, and I'm lucky that I am. Because otherwise, 2 stacks of Gvardi Motostrelki there really could have killed that tank quick. They have very high pen RPGs. We're getting cruise missile Katran by pink there, and I'm trying to run away from it quickly. Those airborne. Unfortunately, I don't think I sprinted on them. If I had, I might have saved both squads. In the end, we barely get the weapon squad out, but at least we get them out. If we hadn't moved at all, we wouldn't have got them out. Trophies finishing off the Kurganetses there. And we are going to cap back F before the end of the phase, as long as we stay on there and finish the flag cap. So, you know, very much, I think, thanks past me for probably not playing in the best way there, for the opening phase, at least in hindsight, in my opinion. Because I think it's a really good example of what not to do in this game in terms of ceding initiative to the enemy and not providing pressure. The more I play this game, and stop me if you've heard this one from me before, but it seems really important. The more I play this game, so much of this game seems about pressure. In fact, I've talked about how the greatest resource in this game is not money or anything, it's attention, mental focus. Your ability to focus on different things in different parts of the map at once, and manage different units at once, and keep everything running, and give everything the attention it needs to thrive, that's a big part of what makes you a good player of this game. And a lower level player, or a lower experienced player, and a higher experienced player, for sure, we just got them lower and higher, right? Or does that sound elitist? Anyway, you can probably, like, you know, a lower player can probably do a lot of the cool micro tricks a higher level player could do, but I think a higher level player, one, has better knowledge to exploit the game's units and advantages of units against each other, but also can do that reliably and in more places at once without letting everything else fall apart. The flip side of that is that while your pressure is one of your most important, or sorry, your attention is one of your most important resources, so is imparting pressure on the enemy one of the most important things you can inflict upon the enemy, even beyond stealing their territory, even beyond trading effectively for KD, even beyond so many things I can think of when it comes to combat in this game. One of the most important things I think you can do, especially as part of a team game, is be doing your part to put pressure on the enemy. And that just means tying them up, making them pay attention to you, taking their precious attention, their most precious resource, and forcing them to spend it on you. If you sit back and defend somewhere, even if it's, you know, defending 1 or 2 flags, and you just sit there and you don't really do anything that makes the enemy pay attention to you as an actor in this game, the problem is the enemy will not just sit there either a lot of the time. They will then impart their attention on your teammates. And you'll see a lot of games, I think, and sometimes you'll be the person doing this, where there's a lot of people on a team who are just kind of chilling. They don't feel quite ready to push yet. They know if they push, there'll be losses. It'll be squishy and messy. Dodging the cruise missiles there. They're just not ready, or for whatever reason, they just don't want to push. And what happens in those games is that whoever on those players' teams does try to push will get all manner of the enemy's attention thrown onto them because they're the nail that's sticking out, and the sticking out nail gets the hammer. And you'll get 5 players worth of air support, artillery, helicopters, QRFs, tanks, transports full of infantry, all directed at you if you are one of the few players on your team trying to push. So it's very important, I think, in this game. You don't always have to be pushing, but it's very important to consider how important it is that you do your part in a 5v5 to be putting out 1 player's worth of pressure at minimum. And if you're not going to do that, at least understand what you're not bringing to your team by doing that, and then you can make the decision to yourself, well, is it worth it? Is what I'm accomplishing instead worth the fact that I'm not pressuring the enemy right now, and making my poor teammates take my amount of pressure on my behalf because I'm not there taking it for them? Because if you ask that question and you can't, you know, say, yeah, what I'm doing is better than that, then sometimes you might need to just go, hey, it's time to stand shoulder to shoulder on the shield line. Like, I need to be up there on the front line. I need to be there with my people. You need to be there. Shoulder to shoulder. That's how it works in this game. Very, very important. Excuse a slightly long tangent there, but I think it's one of the most important things I keep learning about this game. And really a lot of what separates, I think, how I was when I was worse at this game to how I am now that I'm getting a bit better. Pressure. Speaking of pressure right now, we don't have enough AA clearly because there's a jet flying directly over our lines and dying very late. I haven't checked my Patriots in a while. I can tell from this, you know, watching this back now. So I wouldn't be surprised if mine has died to seed or something and I've forgotten about it. But I've got a bit of money and I should really be checking my Patriots right now, getting another one up. Now, having all said it about pressure, I'm hoping I'm going to move these airborne and weapon squads up soon. I think I'm probably feeling here, oh, what if they push through again and take my zone? I need to have like a defensive unit here. Oh, you know, so what if they do? You'll take the flag back, right? In this case, I think I should have those units up, providing pressure. One thing I have done well here, though, is that I've taken the hill. I brought an AMPV with mech engineers here because I assumed that GRU would still be here. Of course, that was a year ago, you know. Who knows where they've gone? They probably died to something else by now. What's important, though, is that one way or another, I've taken back this hill. Holding that hill, as said, look at that recon that one sniper unit is getting on everything that's coming in. It provides you such good recon. It's such an important position to hold. You've got to have some kind of recon up there, and assume the enemy does. If you don't, you have to hold that position. Imagine there's a cap there, right? Imagine there's a flag. You need to hold that hill on Baltisk. Definitive position. Now, it looks like I'm leapfrogging my weapon squad and airborne stacks up, so I am moving some of them up at least. I'm still hesitant to move that right one, but that's okay. The area those infantry on the right are moving into is really the hell on earth of Baltisk. I'm sure if you played Baltisk even once, you know what I mean. Where basically all of my allies' units are right now in the skyscrapers. That is the area that just gets hit by every fucking piece of artillery known to man in a lot of Baltisk games. Because that's usually the skyscrapers all the ATGMs and stuff go into. I'm trying not to go directly into them, but I am trying to be nearby to help. Meanwhile, though, you can see my attention quite literally is focused, switched over to B. I've got my SEP V3 trophies here. They've been repaired after their little adventure taking back F, which was about, 6 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago. And they're here just in time to be quite useful, actually, because you've got a BMP Terminator and a couple of little tin shipboxes there. And we're here just in time to bully them. The Terminator with ATGMs will hurt tanks at long range if you let them get the ATGMs and cornet you. But on its own here, unless there's some kind of AT surprise in these woods waiting for me, I am going to kill that Terminator with these tanks. The fun part of not having played these, of having played these a while ago and then forgetting to comment it until now, is I actually don't remember. I don't know if some GRU or something's about to pop through those woods and get me. I'm playing against VDV Guards Armored there by the look of the units on the screen, because I see a Drock. Or is that a Typhoon? Either way. I think Typhoon's VDV, right? I don't know. Ooh. Getting hit by that ATGM carrier on the right. Through that little keyhole angle. Through the houses there. Nearly took my SEP out. Hurt it a lot. I know what those things are now. I've learned fear. I've learned to fear them. I'm pretty sure those are chrysanthemums. I don't know. I just call them Christmas. They're the Christmas ATGM carrier. I think they're in Guards Armored. Maybe Guards Armored. They're fucking scary. They're like 95 points, and they just don't stop shooting. They just keep shooting the ATGMs, and they're terrifying. Calling in a cluster Gimlers here. I actually have switched back to HE Gimlers these days. HE Rocket Arty. But this is when I was still trying to use cluster Rocket Arty to hit tanks and maybe do a bit of counter battery when I got the opportunity to. You do get some value out of it sometimes. But the reason these days I switched to HE is I just found it hard waiting around for the right target for a cluster strike, whereas HE, I'll just use it to kill a stack of infantry before they can run away. Using the trophy to just bully out some Regenerate here while I commentate. Get out of here, Engineers. I was using my Iron Thunder still a lot here, but I've actually stopped using Iron Thunder and Guided Brutus so much now, because I was playing against good opponents who, sure, you'd hit them with the laser-guided artillery in a building, and sometimes you'd kill, like, a unit, but if you were shooting infantry in a building, like I did a lot of the time, the infantry would just get out of the building, go resupply, and then come back. So I was annoying them, but I wasn't getting kills. I've switched to HE Rocket Arty now, because instead, I thought it was a cluster bomber, I thought I was dead. Because instead, I want to be killing infantry in buildings that I've spotted with my recon. So I use HE, I laser guide onto the building, and I bring in a rocket strike, and the burst damage of the rocket strike compared to the sustained damage of howitzers, it's a bit slower, will allow me to kill that infantry squad before I can get out of the building, unless the person is paying a lot of attention and gets out immediately once they see the rockets coming. Anyway, that's where I'm at now with Rocket Arty. Thought you might find that interesting. Meanwhile, I mean, not much to say. We have managed to just kind of press back really nicely here. The enemy had a lot of pressure on us from the start, especially when we just gave it to them. But, you know, since I switched to a bit more pressure, and I think my teammates did as well, you know, bringing in more ground units and just kind of fighting back a bit more, honestly, you can kind of see how easily this is turned around for us. And I think my teammate had a drone up or something there, but I see some targets. Yeah, oh no, it's me. I had the Global Hawk. That's right. I learned by this point the way to use Rocket Arty is you don't use it on its own. Well, what I do now is I bring in a drone when I have Rocket Arty up. I use the drone to spot the backline, and then I Rocket Arty what I see. Thanks, Pro Killer, from my chat, who gave me that tip. It's a very good tip for how to use Rocket Arty like that when you don't have a target. Just send a drone in, see their backline, and then blow up some shit that they don't realize you just saw of the drone. Now, good players will be dodging as soon as they see the drone spotted their backline, but you don't always notice that, right? Like, it's not always the easiest thing to see. A lot of ATGM teams stacked in there. Trophy's gonna have to run. My Gimler's is firing off. That's cluster, so you'd think decent chance to kill. In the end, you can see up the top of the screen right now, we're hitting that anti, but it's surviving pretty well. I think it's getting out of there because it saw the rockets coming, maybe. But it gets away with it. The rocket strike doesn't even kill it. It gets away with, like, over half health there because only one rocket really impacted it. Now, this is the funny part. Is, if you believe it or not, they're talking about me right now because of that. They're extremely mad. At this point, I wasn't sure they were talking about me. It became more clear later, but they're... I guess they don't know what recon drones are, because they decided that me rocket artying that anti, and not even killing it, by the way, but like rocket artying it, meant I was hacking. I don't know if it was even in the forest. Like, I think it was just in the open by the side of the road, and a drone saw it, and they didn't move. It's like cool hacks, bro. Anyway, people are funny. One of the reasons I like solo queue, you meet very interesting people. I'm not being sarcastic. I actually find it interesting. So that's going on in the background. Meanwhile, we're really just squashing them. Like, these tanks I've had rolling through here have just been allowed to run unopposed. The enemy has passive resistance to these tanks in the form of ATGM teams inside buildings. But they don't... We're at it again. But they... but they don't really have anything... Boom! That's what they need to do right there, I was about to say. That is actively stopping these tanks. And there you go. They finally cluster bomb my tank there, and that's what they need to do. This is me realizing they're talking about me because they call me out by name. But that's exactly what they needed to do, is you need to shut these tanks down of mine when you see them rolling around just unopposed, just turning the game. Because these tanks are just come in from, and they haven't died yet. They've just taken back F, rolled through the center of the map, and come over to take B. And, you know, we're rolling on to D at this point, unless they get stopped, which, you know, the enemy finally does. Just kind of, like, half-typing back here. You can see the points are just, like, completely swung in our favor now. We have A, we have B, we have C. H has been held all game, and I don't think they've ever tried to get it. Sorry, I'm just kind of, like, reading the chat as well at the same time. I don't know why I opened it up. I think I was checking my KD in case I was like, oh, like I have a good KD, so they think I'm cheating or something. And then they were like, see everything. Sorry. Like, it's just funny. I've been flirting with making more RU decks again lately. I haven't really been playing RU still much, but to be fair, if you're an RU main and you never play US, it's probably easier to think this, because I realized, like, after having looked at Russia decks more, Russia doesn't really get anything comparable to the US drones. Like, all of Russia's drones are like the Predators, which aren't very good. They get nothing comparable to the Global Hawk or the Sentinel. It's funny, because people will complain about, like, oh, you know, Russia overpowered, Russia has this or that. Both factions have fucked up shit. Both factions have very powerful shit. It's good asymmetric balancing, and US definitely has some crazy shit that can inflict direct mental damage to your opponent, as seen in this game. And yeah, unfortunately, the enemy team just kind of crumbled. I guess they've just given up at this point, because there's not even, like, units coming out. Rasserenus, I think, is over there, again, about to push on Giga and take it back. I haven't really been paying attention. But if Ras has been pushing that harbor this whole time, that's really good. Because, again, mental pressure. Attacking everything on sea lets even a small number of enemy players just be like, alright, we'll just fight sea. But if someone is pushing G with helicopters or amphibious attacks from this side, even if it doesn't work, it can still be good to just distract the enemy over there and be like, oh, there's a new front to deal with. I don't know if any of you are students of history, but I think it's often said, you know, about World War II by armchair generals, it's like the common knowledge meme at this point of like, oh, like, you know, hey, maybe the Germans shouldn't have, like, opened up that many fronts of warfare at once or some stuff like that. It turns out that's very applicable to this game as well. Like, letting your enemy just kind of, like, bottle you all up and fight you on one area of the map makes it much easier for them. But even if you don't succeed, just putting pressure somewhere else on the map and forcing the enemy to respond to you is very, very good. That needs to go off because that's seed. And they are trying to roll out units again now. We're fighting with our trophy over in their spawn woods. It's never a good time on Baltisk when you've got enemies in your spawn woods like this. It's a very bad time. That poor trophy I've just left all dead and critted there. I need to get, like, a helicopter supply to it already. I see cruise missile trans there refueling, so I'm going to send in my Jasm Vex with cruise missiles and harms to try and get rid of it. Don't think I totally learned the hold fire micro on the harms yet. Or I wasn't using it anyway, but we're just sending the harms in at the same time. Those cruisers will come in. I think I missed a little bit. Yeah, I was a little bit to the side. I didn't get both of them, but I did get one of them. If I was a little bit more on point there, I would have killed both. It's hard to counter battery cruise missile trans, but if they're resupplied, if they're landed like that, it's definitely your opportunity to do so. One of the reasons that cruise missile trans are very oppressive. That and every minute 30, or every 2 minutes they're ready to fire again, because it only takes a minute 30 to resupply both their cruise missiles. And they have, like, no aim time on the cruises. Anyway, at this point, I'm basically just setting up my defensive infantry up here to watch that road in case the enemy tries to push back, but it's not really looking like it at this point. Props to them for sticking it out. Nobody on their team's left. They're trying to throw some cruise missiles back our way, but we're just dodging them. It's a complete rout, which we love to see. And I'm sure, like, I don't want to talk out my ass, but I'm very sure that it really fits the theme of what I was talking about earlier, is a lot of this is mental as well. They were very capable of putting out a lot of pressure before, and I think part of the real slacking of pressure is tilting. If I had to guess, it's basically us punching him in the nose. The whole thing of, like, you know, bullies are very tough till you punch them in the nose. That's a thing with Broken Arrow a lot as well, is often the enemy will seem like they're stronger than they are until you punch them really, really hard. And then you suddenly find out, like, that was the only units they had, and they actually have nothing behind them, and you just roll through to their backline. Kind of like what we're doing at this point in this match. Also, I think they just, like, apparently all of them tilted thinking I was a cheater or something. So basically just, like, the mental tilt applied by doing a rocket artillery strike on their backline once. And I think, to be fair, my team's been doing it too. Like, I think my teammate was doing helicopter strikes from the start. Remember those Comanche and longbow pair at the start? Now we're doing, like, spookies over their spawn. We're, like, you know, who hasn't been in a situation like this, right? Now we're, like, airstriking them like it's super over. But I more mean, like, 10 minutes ago, whenever it was. Because, like, even, like, 10 to 12 minutes ago, I feel like the points were even, right? Like, it wasn't that long ago that this seemed like an even match. And I feel like the thing happened where they accused me of being a hacker, and it's just like they just stopped playing. Is what it feels like. I know they did keep playing. But I think that's really when they just lost confidence and lost, like, the mental game completely, it seems. Which is unfortunate. It's a very mental game. BA is a very mental game. They really, you have to not give up. And you'll want to give up a lot. This game is very easy to feel, like, so sick of in the middle of a match and be like, oh, we're fucked, just surrender. I think it's good that they're going to be adding a surrender option to this game soon, or so I've heard, because you need that. But I'm also expecting there's going to be a lot of people, like, surrendering matches they definitely could have won. Easier than they think, as a result. But we'll see. It's definitely a good feature to have. You need to have a surrender feature. Definitely. And there's that. So, I don't think they consider that a GG. But that is the game. It's SD with 11 minutes, 20 to spare. I did have my Patriot there, but the radar wasn't on at the end. Don't know how much I forgot about that. And I didn't even do that much, as you can see. Oh shit, I actually forgot I had a KD that good. That wasn't meant to sound like a humble brag. Like I said, it's been a while. I forgot that I had a 7.92 KD. I just didn't lose anything, I guess. Which is easy. Don't think this is a good thing. It's easy because I didn't deploy many units. Really, honestly, the only combat units I think I deployed in the end that really did much were those 2 SEP trophies. Which is kind of insane. That they just weren't stopped until that point. I don't even know what I do with the rest of my points, honestly. I don't know. It's a good reminder to keep going to tanks, though, because just like I was saying, don't give up. Prior to this match, I had gone through the thing I've talked about a few times now, of where, like, I started using tanks, and then I got to higher elo, and people just started, like, cluster bombing my tanks as soon as they saw one, and I was like, fuck, like, why even play tanks? They just get immediately killed, and you just wasted your points. But the power of a tank is if it is not stopped by something like that, it runs rampant with good micro. You're basically imparting a lot of pressure with a unit like a heavy tank with APS, because you are putting the ball in your opponent's court. No, that's the wrong way to say it. You are grabbing the initiative with that kind of unit. You are saying, if you do not stop me, this unit is going to do whatever it wants. And you cannot stop it with good micro on my part. Unless you yourself come and play the ball game and you have your own heavy tanks of good micro, right? And in this game, they just didn't. I forgot that, so it's kind of funny. That might also be part of why they were calling me a cheater, I guess. But the point is, look how I can't remember now because it's gone. The screen is gone. But look how I didn't really have that much destruction either. In fact, I'm going to scroll back and look at it again. And I can tell you, yeah, like Slava Ukraini, who, you know, someone on my team made fun of, Slava Ukraini, who someone on my team made fun of having a failed nuke at the start, basically. Not necessarily made fun of, but was that a failed nuke? The person with the failed nuke at the start had 9,000 destruction score, which is nearly double mine. Like, props, you know, like, that person is holding it down. That person is putting out pressure. Did they need to send a B2 to nuke the enemy's spawn at the start? No. But do they have the right mindset? Yes. They're aggressive. They take risks. They take the initiative. They push. They're the real hero of that match, right? Without them, 9,000 points of, over 9,000 points, actually. 9,050 points of enemy guards armored and mech moto and VDV and all that crap is coming straight for us and nobody's stopping it. That's another reason why you've got to be on the line. Because if you're not going to stop those units, somebody else in your team has to, and you're just kicking the can down the road, you're just passing the buck. But that said, I don't feel too bad about myself in that round either, though, because I did get to go around and do things that needed to be done. But I wouldn't say I was the reason we won, by any stretch of the imagination. I fixed up some holes that were my fault to begin with, in terms of where our lines were. And I don't know, like, once we got that sorted out, the enemy team just... Yeah, I think they just got tilted and kind of crumbled. So... Anyway, I had to commentate this one and put it up, so that now, if those people see this video, they now know, no, I wasn't map hacking you. Without a shadow of a doubt. And yeah, I think it is a good match to show what not to do for me. Definitely at the start. Do not come in and have such a small amount of pressure that you're putting out at the start. Come in and be ready to fight. You know, don't come in and be like me and bring in 2 Iron Thunders at the start. I don't know why I did that. I'm a different person. You know how people like make apology videos on YouTube where they're like, yeah, I did all that horrible stuff, but I'm a different person now. That was the me a week ago. That was the me a year ago. That's kind of like me with Broken Arrow. I keep watching these back and I'm like, okay, but that was me 4 days ago. I don't play like this anymore. But they're still interesting to review. And it's funny because these days, even when I do bring in Iron Thunder style stuff, I actually bring Brutuses with guided rounds, which I discovered since this recording of this video, are kind of like Iron Thunders, but 90 points cheaper. So that would have been more acceptable because then I'm not spending as much money on it. But even so, I think it was quite preemptive of me. So, you know, let's review here the pros and cons. The cons of that match, easier for me to remember from the start. Definitely rolled out very passively with my selection of starting units. Very, very passive. Just gave the initiative to the enemy, and these enemies knew how to be bullies and run with that. And they took that, and they took huge swaths of the map. And I think they very nearly, you know, could have been sudden deathing us if we'd allowed them to keep doing that. They very much just opened up strong and took huge chunks of the area. Other than that, big mistakes from me. I needed to get a Logi helicopter in and get that Sept trophy healed quicker. I only had a little supply treaded thing that goes very slow. I needed a little supply gremlin. I needed to get a helicopter in, risk that to get the trophy done up again, or a truck at least, an MTV. A little bit passive of my infantry to push up to help with the sea fight, perhaps, where the skyscrapers were. It took me a while to take hold of the recon hill, but I did take it in the end. Switching from that into the positives. Once I think I did identify. I mean, once they took F, it was very clear to me, like, oh, I fucked up. Like, I'm being so passive. It's an easy mistake to make with this game. Like, it's, you know, I'm not gonna beat myself up. Don't beat yourself up either. It's a very easy mistake to make with this game, or just a situation to get into to end up being passive. Because especially when you're still getting used to the game, you don't really know what to do yet. You're still figuring things out as you play, and especially when you're wounded and you need to repair and resupply your units. It's very easy to get stuck in that loop of like, I need to get my guys fixed, I need to bring in reinforcements, I'm not ready to go yet. And then if the enemy keeps the pressure on you while you're doing that, you may never recover. It's like getting knocked on the ground and the enemy keeps kicking you while you're down. Hey, you want to do that to them, but beware that happening to you. That's why sometimes just getting completely wiped and coming in again fresh can actually be better than getting left basically wounded but not quite finished off and having to save all your guys for the next, 2 or 3 minutes, because you can just like commit to something new instead of salvaging something that's already losing. But that said, yeah, once we switched it up, it's like I would have brought on in other units if my tanks had died, but they just didn't. So I just played those 2 tanks, took back F, because I think if we're giving myself the positive criticisms now, positive feedback, I think I very correctly identified. I watched what came into F, and I saw it was all just shitty aluminum tin boxes, shitty Soviet scrap. And I went, okay, like there's probably nothing there that can stop a trophy. And indeed, there almost was, because the Sprat SDMs microed a little bit better against me, could have taken the win. But especially having a backup trophy, having 2 of them there, the only thing that was really going to stop me was the enemy bringing in, like, an airstrike or something. Something very big like that to just shut that down. And I think they should have if they could have got away with it. They didn't try. But if they'd managed to cluster bomb those tanks, they could have kept that flank rolled on us. They could have kept that going, right? Because the tanks are dead. Nothing's there to stop those orange units from continuing to take our side. So I'm glad they didn't do that. And then, yeah, correctly identified the unit to bring. Cleaned all that up with the tanks. Pretty shut after that, pretty shut case after that. We just got to resupply those tanks, drive back over to the other side, provide some much needed pressure and pressure relief on the B point to take the center of the map there. And then once we took the center of the map, just roll straight on through. Because once again, on that B point in the center of the map, once again, what do they bring? Nothing to stop the trophies, which is very unfortunate for them from that side, is they brought a Terminator for anti-infantry, they brought little ship boxes again, and they brought, I think, engineers. So everything they had there was anti-infantry. They had nothing to stop tanks. So if I bring a bunch of infantry there, I'm going to take losses even if I win. But those 2 tanks, it's like, I couldn't have paid them to bring easier units to kill my tanks there. It's very nice for me, And that's it, they never really bounced back after that, I think. My teammates did an amazing job taking the C point. It's hard to take C from this side of the map. So it's kind of their point to lose, so good job. The enemy's point to lose, that is. And yeah, there are cheaters in this game, but don't accuse people of cheating. That's just because you got your shit spotted, because God, recon exists in this game, and if every time something you thought was hidden got shot, if every time that happened, you thought someone was hacking, like, you're not built for these streets. You're not going to survive in this game. You need to clear that out of your mind right away. Don't get into that habit. You will go insane thinking everyone is cheating. Good fun though. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this match for obvious reasons. It was funny. And I do think it provides a good example of, honestly, at the start, how not to play, and then kind of how to recognize that you're playing badly, and fix it up. You know, how to switch up your style. Though it's not the best example of how to switch up into pressure play, because again, they never stop the tanks, so you never saw me actually have to put too much into the pressure play. I just rolled the tanks. But definitely, like, if those tanks died hypothetically, just bring in more tanks, bring in IFVs, APCs full of infantry, bring in infantry, keep pushing. But we didn't need to. We just rolled the tanks. So anyway, that's this one. I hope you enjoyed it. I don't know what I'm doing next, but honestly, considering what I just said this whole match about how, like, out of date it already feels, and I had other ones to commentate, but I probably just record a new one and just try to commentate it on the day I do it instead. Because I'm getting into this problem otherwise of, they all feel out of date. So I might end up doing that. I might just record new ones. Fuck it. Delete all these other ones. Fuck them. If you do ever want to see, like, more how I'm going day to day, you can catch my, I'm streaming shit all the time. And now I know most people don't want to go onto Twitch, so I understand. But there is a channel you can go on. I'll link it in the description. YouTube Beaglerush VODs, my Twitch mod, and my buddy Jeff manages that channel, and he uploads everything I do there. I don't know how up to date the videos are right now, but basically every time I stream, he uploads the VOD there on YouTube, so it's easier to watch. So if you do want to catch a lot of matches, because I've been playing a lot, I'll link the channel in the description. Just go to that channel, and there is so much BA to watch. If you're ever, like, here and being like, oh, I want to watch more Beagle, there is an absolute ton of Beagle to watch over there, Broken Arrow. But it's live commentary, because it's taken just from me streaming it. I've actually been thinking, I'm actually curious what you guys think, those of you still listening, guys, girls, and bees, to this part of the video. I don't want to flood my main channel with a whole bunch of, like, just stream VODs, because I want to keep it, like, kind of more bespoke for the YouTube audience on this channel, this one. But I do sometimes have these, like, in very dramatic and exciting matches on stream, and I think about, like, oh, I should highlight that one. I should take that one and put it on the main channel. Would you be interested in seeing that? Let me know. Let me know if you would or you wouldn't like to see, cherry-picked, highlighted, like, very exciting, fun matches put onto the main channel, because more people obviously know about this channel and watch it. Let me know in the comments what you think, and maybe I'll do that here and there. Yeah. Gonna make more videos. Thanks for being here. I'll do some more soon. I'm gonna release the ones of FLX as well, and they don't really have commentary, but they're just me hanging out with him. More videos. Thanks for watching. I hope you had fun. I will catch you all in the next one. Keep enjoying BA, everyone. Have a good one. And remember, keep letting me know in the comments what questions you want answered, what you're struggling with the game. I have penned the Seed video, and I done the script for it, and I will try to record and edit that and put it up soon too. How to survive Seed. So, yeah, I'm going to stop yapping. See you soon, everyone. Have a good one. Hope you enjoy in your BA. Bye-bye.